When you're online shopping for clothes. Now, despite what the thumbnail may show or look like, okay, I wasn't on there looking for women's clothing, all right? I just want to point that out, make that clear. This was just the photo that I could find that was like, basically giving you the idea of like online shopping for clothes, okay? And since a majority of like, I guess women online shop for clothes, guys just kind of put on whatever. But I'm just saying, like, that's why if you see that and you're like, oh, he was doing that, it's like, no. All right, I was just getting some regular. I literally just got some pants and like a new hat. Like that was it. Okay, and the hat was more so for. Uh, well, I really liked the look of the hat. I thought it was kind of fun, but it was more so just like a jokey joke, kind of a hat. You know what I mean? Just to have and I really just I enjoyed the look of it. Okay, it says yes chef on it. You know what I mean? It's easily recognizable. It's noticeable. I thought it was funny. I got it, and yeah, so that was basically the main part. But the important thing there about what I'm talking about right now, is the pants. The pants I got. I just got these new sweatpants just to like, just for some comfort. You know what I mean? And for some like, I got like some extra pockets on there. The kind of like cargo pants with like the side pockets on there. So I mainly got those for that. You know what I mean? Because I just feel like whenever I put my phone in like in the sweats I'm wearing right now or like the joggers or whatever, my phone tends to like slip out or like it's not a big enough pocket to hold it. So I was just like, oh, let me get the other pair and or let me get this pair with like real pockets. I mean, I imagine they're not as they're not as bad or as good as these, but it's more so like me just kind of saying to myself like, hey, I just need a little something a little different that I don't actually have right now. So that was the main point of it. And man, the clothes are getting expensive. All right, and I was literally thinking to myself like, how much it really costs to revamp or rechange your entire wardrobe or closet or just to do new stuff with it. You know what I mean? And that's why apps like Depop are good, where you can just resell your clothes and like get a cheaper discount or a deal on some cool clothing that some people are kind of done with. They're just like, hey, I'm giving this away. And rather than, go on to Amazon or go to like the store and pay for like overpriced clothing, you can just get it from me and I'll send it to you myself. You know what I mean? So I think that's cool. But I was thinking about just about how different like clothing used to be compared to today. You know what I mean? Like back in the day, right? Like people were wearing rags. You know what I mean? They were putting on leaves or they were like, you know what I'm saying? Like it wasn't as sophisticated. Fashion wasn't as sophisticated back then. And the way that we have continuously evolved and we have come to the point where it's like, okay, so why am I paying like $50 for a white t-shirt? Like what about it is, you know, ingenious? What about it is like so revolutionary or so different compared to other cheaper, t-shirts? Like what's the main difference? And there is no main difference, right? It's more so like a branding thing or like I don't know, it's more so like the person who sells it or like what their brand is on there. So like if I get like a random hoodie for like if I can get a hoodie, like a blank hoodie for nothing, like $10, okay? And it still serves its function. It's still like just a regular hoodie. But then the minute you add like a logo onto it, like Coca Cola, or you add like a logo for like some celebrity or influencer, it automatically goes up in value. You know what I mean? And depending on the materials attached to it, you know what I mean? It's some are cheaply made. Like the $10 hoodie is obviously going to be a little bit more cheaply made, and I imagine that influencers or celebrities would like go for high quality material, but the material isn't all that like obviously there's a difference, but we're talking about fractionally better. You know what I'm saying? And that's the point is that like when you're competing with so many fashion choices or opportunities or people in fashion like making so many clothes, it's like okay, who is really making the best material? Like, who's really like doing it different? And there are obviously intricacies and like differences in fashion, whether it's like the stitching or the cut of the clothing or the overall fabric and the material, how soft it is, what kind of blend they put together, like if it's all 100% natural, like cotton, or if it's synthetic fibers that they use, or if it's a mix of the both of them. And then you got to think about like is it like stretchy, like polyester blend and stuff like that? Like how does it all, you know, how rough is it and how is it stitched together, and what do they kind of, how thick or how thin of a fabric do they make it? So it's one of those, again, it's one of those things where you can obviously go into big details about it, but overall, I'm just kind of like a bit more like, okay, fashion shouldn't be as expensive as we're looking at it. You know what I mean? Like, obviously, there are high fashion brands like Gucci and Versace and Chanel, and I, I do believe that there is a case or an argument to be made that like because these brands have been doing it for so long and have had like a and they are a luxury brand, they should be able to charge, a little bit more. That's the way it is, you know what I mean? But at the same time, I'm kind of thinking to myself like the brand alone isn't as good as you would think. You know what I'm saying? It's like, yeah, you may have put Gucci on a white T-shirt, but like now with technology and printing press and stuff, like I could do that same thing myself. You know what I mean? Is that cheating? Is that a ripoff? Is it not real? Who cares, right? It's just it's one of those weird things. And so all it needs to do is like cover you up. You know what I mean? Help you. And some people just like that. Some people just like that feeling of like having that really that kind of expensive clothing on. And some people can really afford it, you know what I mean? And that's just kind of like the differences, I guess. It's more so like if you got it, you got it. You can spend on it, you know what I mean? If you don't got it, then it's like anything will do and you'll look fine wearing anything. Like it's not that big of a deal, but I don't know, some people are really about that, and it just goes to show like I mean, fashion can be superficial, but it can also be really functional, you know what I mean? Like work boots, steel toe boots for like camping, or like it's just the look of it, you know what I mean? You need it for certain things. And as uncomfortable as like a high heel is, there is kind of like a, oh, it's really elegant and it looks really cool, and I don't know. It's one of those weird moments where I'm like, it's not for function, you know what I mean? Because you would rather wear like boots or tennis shoes or something more comfortable, something more flexible, something you can run in and walk and be really soft and comfortable in. Whereas you're mainly doing it for function. I mean, for fashion purposes. Showing off and kind of looking elegant and maybe ladylike and stuff like that. And you know, there's a time and a place for that too. And I just feel like, I don't know, for me, the biggest thing for me when I wear clothes is like, is it comfortable? I mean, I imagine that's what everybody wants to feel, is like feel comfortable in their clothes. But for some people, it there is a bit of like of a what's it called? Like there's a bit of a fight for their fashion, or what's the right word? Like they're killing for fashion, you know what I mean? It's like some people really do whatever it takes to look good to wear clothing. And it's got me thinking about like those models, who male and female, who are like the you know how like when you see a model, like when you go online shopping, for example, for like a t-shirt, right? You can't physically touch the item or look at the item or try it on yourself. So they have a model come in, and it can be just like, it doesn't have to be like a supermodel like Victoria's Secret or anything. It doesn't have to be like uh the most gorgeous male model for like men's clothing, but it could just be like a regular guy trying on the outfit or whatnot, you know what I mean? And you see them put on the clothing, or like you see the pictures of them like wearing it and stuff, and immediately you kind of think to yourself like, okay, that looks good, like, you know what I mean? That's what it would look like on kind of on me, you know what I mean? Generalizing, just kind of like putting the statement on it. But the point is that I'm trying to make here is that uh uh what was I talking? Oh yeah, they try on the clothing, and then they kind of just like they wear it and they look good in it, right? So it's like they have the type of physique or the type of body that's like sample size or like that the kind of style that fits all, you know what I mean? So they get somebody who fits the clothing at the length that they're like selling it for. So everybody is completely different with like different like arm lengths and proportions and heights and stuff like that. So you try to figure out like, okay, how can we get somebody who has the appropriate length for our kind of shirts that we're trying to sell, you know? And it kind of like fits a one size fits all kind of a thing, you know what I mean? So we need somebody who can like look what we want it to proportionally look like. That way when you kind of order it, you kind of see like, oh, the similarities or like the length of it is like, oh, it goes down to that guy's like um to his mid bicep, you know what I'm saying? And then when you try it on, it's like, yep, it's right there, and you can see the cut. They also have like the size chart on there, which is like the biggest thing, but I'm just saying, for example, for the models. And then you have the models who are like the high end fashion, the ones that have to be like, I don't know, a size zero, or however skinny they have to be to fit in particular clothing. And some people are really like, I need to look this way, or I have to have this kind of physique or look in this type of style to fit in this clothing in order to like really represent its true um artistry, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? It's like you can't just have any actor or like, you can't just have any actor voice act. You know what I'm saying? It's like when you watch I don't know. My point is that like when it comes to like regular fashion, like on the Amazon stores, you'll get like these models who obviously they look good, you know what I mean? They're supposed to look good to show you the appeal of the item, and their brand and whatnot. But they're kind of a lot more lax about it. Whereas when you get to high fashion, there are those who are like, hey, I need to look a certain way, or I need to be a certain size in order to fit into this clothing to show off the artistry of this brand, of this clothing, of this particular fashion designer or whoever who made the outfit. And there's a certain weight to that, and a certain expectation of like, you have to look like this in order to match what they're trying to push out there. And when it comes to when it comes to people like having that kind of mentality, or when they have to like reach for that level of fashion, or they have to look a certain way, or they have to like represent this idea of fashion or whatnot, it can be a bit complicated and difficult to like live up to for anybody, you know what I'm saying? And uh I thought about how there was this girl, I forget what podcast I was watching. There was this girl who was kind of like speaking about her experience working for like some high fashion designer or whoever. And she looks good, you know what I mean? She kind of has like the stereotypical like kind of like body that you would imagine, like, big actresses, or you know you would think that like, oh, this is the kind of body that women want to look like, or kind of aspire to be, kind of like this Hollywood body style type, you know what I mean, with like a slim waist and a certain figure to them, you know what I mean, and curves and all that. And she was talking about how she fit that profile quite well, but then when she went to go see this fashion designer and like try on some of the clothes and it didn't fit her, she felt really embarrassed by it. She felt like, oh my gosh, like I can't fit into the clothing, like they're making me feel like fat or maybe I'm like not the right proportions, or I don't look good in them, or you know what I mean. And she felt like kind of like a failure in the sense that like I can't fit in the clothing, and so now they have to like resize it or make it fit me better. And just that kind of touch up, was kind of like, and her experience was humiliating. And I thought to myself, I was that's like that level of like, that's that dynamic where you give somebody like this opportunity to humiliate you or to embarrass you without any sort of like, real grace about it. Because, you know, there's a difference between like you putting on clothes and somebody like dressing you. You know what I'm saying? Like when it comes to like fashion, when you dress up for you, you know what you wear, you know what feels good, you know like what kind of clothing you're into. When somebody else is like dressing you or putting something on you or trying to like size you up, they should automatically be in the, at least I think, in the state where they think to themselves like, all right, if it doesn't fit this person, or if we're dealing with somebody who's like not the ideal proportions that I'm looking for, I myself have to be ready. That's the professionalism I have to have when dealing with multiple different people. I can't just assume that my clothing is going to fit like be a one size fits all. You know what I mean? I'm looking for something very particular. And so when she was explaining that experience, or she was talking about it, obviously I felt empathy for her because I was just like, man, she shouldn't have had to go through that. But at the same time, I was like, there is somebody who goes into there, you know what I mean, with the expectation of fitting their clothing, and then actually doing it. You know what I'm saying? Like there's two sides of it. Is like, one is the humiliating side where it's like I can't fit into this and I feel like a little overweight, or I feel like I can't represent what they want. And then there's the other side, is that like they naturally just fit into it and they crush it, they look good, and it's all good and it's all perfect, and it's things are like going for it, you know what I mean? But and I thought about like what would be I thought about male models, and I was talking about like what is this kind of like difference, you know what I mean? Would a male model feel the exact same way as the female models? And I was like, there's a big difference in that, because I feel like the female models have to be a little bit more covered up than the men. So like if a shirt doesn't fit a guy, he can just go topless and he just has to be like in good shape and ripped. You know what I mean? Whereas the female models, like, she can be in as great a shape as she wants. She still needs to wear like a bra, or she still has to like cover up, and she could walk out like in her underwear or whatever, but it's more so like she still needs something to cover her, her hoo-has, and there's still like that element of it that's like I still need to be covered up. I still need to have that. Whereas the guys, it's a little bit more like, the shirt doesn't fit. Now throw out the shirt. Let's just walk you out in some pants and shoes and whatnot, and you'll be fine. You know what I mean? So I don't know if I haven't like in particularly taken the time to like listen to like male models' experiences about it, because for the most part I'm just kind of like, you look good, like you're in good shape, like, you know what I mean? It's like it's not a big complaint, you know what I mean? Whereas for the women, it's like I want to know like the experience, or like I want to understand that like they want to be a part of it, and sometimes that means you have to live a certain way. Your lifestyle has to fit what everybody else is doing, and oftentimes that does involve like having to kill yourself for the fashion, starving yourself, or eating particular foods. It's like, and not really knowing the nutrition behind it, you know what I mean? It's like the healthy thing for you and your body would be to eat these kinds of foods, and instead they cut out all of those kinds of foods, and they're left with like barely anything, and now they're just kind of like and it's such a crazy thing to think about, that they'll literally do it for that, you know what I mean? And then there is some sort of a pride and an ego to it, whereas like I want to look good for this, you know what I mean? And that's where you get like that feeling of accomplishment, is that like I suffered for this, suffering for the fashion. I suffered for fashion. I really gave myself over to these clothes and to this idea and to this product, and I feel good about that. And I imagine there's like that really feels. I mean, I'm not gonna. I mean, for me, I don't think I would ever do something like that, but I could like respect somebody's decision, like that feeling of accomplishment afterwards. Like if after a fashion runway show and they finally like they wore the outfit, you know what I mean, that they've been dying to walk down in, or get to work with this designer or this person and work with this brand, and they get to walk down the aisle, or they get to show off the fashion and stuff, and it's like, wow, what a huge moment, you know what I mean? And a feeling of accomplishment that like, wow, I got to work with these people, and maybe we can work again, or I could do another brand deal and stuff like that. I definitely can sympathize with that, and I can definitely like understand that like this is what you want, and I can get on board with it. I'm just saying that it's like it's just clothes, isn't it? Like it's just regular clothes, you know what I mean? And most of the time you're waiting for that moment, and once it comes it's like it's over in a flash. And it's like, was this really worth the 6 months of agony and torture that I put myself through just to get this one moment of whatever? And now for me, I in terms of fashion, no. But in terms of like waiting for those moments or those opportunities to come in your life, it's like I'll do anything to like get the opportunity or get that moment, you know what I mean? No matter how small of it is, I would do it. I would do it. And so would anybody else for greatness, for things that you really love and are interested in. But yeah, that's just one of those things where it's like fashion isn't worth suffering over in my opinion. But some people will do it, and just to show that this is a style, it's elegance, it is fashion, and being a part of it in any way, shape, or form, getting to show off or get to be an example of like of beauty, is very something is something to be um celebrated. It is something to be like, hey, I'm here and I'm showing the best of who I am and what I have to give and offer. You know what I mean? What do other people feel about me? How do they feel about me? Do they enjoy it? Do they not? Is it this or is it that? But I don't know. It's one of those weird things. So anyways, when I was online shopping for some clothes, I was just kind of like when I was shopping for the hat, I knew what like I kind of wanted that hat, like that style of the hat. But the cool thing about shopping for that item as opposed to like the pants or whatever was because they just show the hat, they just show the product. And I had bought hats from them previously, so I wasn't like worried about like the quality of hat or like what type of hat it was. I knew what type of hat it was going to be and like what looks good on me and stuff like that. More so, I was more interested in like obviously the color or like what kind of designs it is or and whatnot. And I was kind of like, is it going to be this color or that color? Should I choose this? Should I choose that? What's going to look good on me? And that was where I could really like, that was where the real shopping took place, was like this color or that color. I mean, they both look great, but which one do I really want more? Which one is like gonna stand out a little bit more, be a lot more like cool to have or to show off or to walk around in? And I don't know, I just feel like maybe for me that's where it's like really shopping, you know what I mean? Shopping is like, obviously you go to the store and you know what you're going to get, you know what I mean? It's you're going there and you're kind of browsing around and you're like, oh yeah, I need pants, I need socks, I need these shoes, I want to get this, I want to get that, right? But then there's another layer to shopping, which is like options. You know what kind of shoes you want to get, but what style, what color, what kind of like, you know what I mean? They have such a variety of that kind of shoe, or they have a variety of this kind of pants, and the colors and the cuts and how they feel and the fabrics that they attach to it, and the shirt as well. And it's like, because they have that such a variety of them, you could make the argument that it's like maybe even though they're all the same shirt, so to speak, there are differences, and that little difference is what ups the cost. You know what I'm saying? So even though like Amazon has like these basics on their app where it's like you can get like a basic Amazon pants or cargo pants or sweatpants or socks or whatever. It's like, hey, we sell the basics. You know what I mean? We sell a hoodie, we sell a t-shirt, we sell pants and all that kind of stuff. So if you're looking for something like that, you know what I mean, and quality, and it's our own brand, it's simple, it's easy clothing, just order it from there, you know what I mean? But if you're looking for like a Nike or an Adidas and they put their logo on there and it's like athletic wear and you know that like the function of it and all that stuff, it's like, well, we are going to upcharge you more because we have value in quality products that, you know, Amazon sells shoes, but we sell performance. We sell like professional athletes wear this kind of shoe. And if they wear it, and they do long distance running, they do training, they do this, they do that, then you too should buy this kind of shoe, and it's going to be better for your performance, for you to get in shape or for you to like exercise in and whatnot. And so by the time you know it, it's like all of these little different changes and the upcharges that you feel or that you see, you start to justify as like, well, this shoe is a lot more comfortable. There's a lot more padding in there. It's a lot more resistant to like weather and sand and dirt and mud, and like I can wash it and dry it back up and all of these different things. And you start to realize and you start to like focus that like the more and more clothes that come out, yeah, of course they're going to get more expensive because everybody's trying to make something like so much better. But then once you see how many clothes there are and you see that like they're all kind of just the same, like nobody's really revolutionizing it, you know what I mean? Like if you go back to, I mean, obviously, if you go back to like olden times, in England or whatever, and you go like, back when like we had kings and queens back over there in England and whatnot, and you see like the fashion that they were wearing and the kind of cloth, that they were wearing back in the day, and then obviously our fashion now, you would see like, oh wow, that's a huge upgrade, that's a huge change, it's a huge like kind of shift than what like they usually wear. But now it's like, what are the big fashion changes between now in 2025 and back in 2015? It's like it's not a big change like at all, you know what I mean? There are certain styles that I guess maybe some people like brought out, you know what I mean, or were wearing at the time, but it's like if you wore clothing from 2015 and 2025, nobody's going to look at you like weirdo, why are you wearing that? And if you wore clothing from 2025 and worn in 2015, nobody's going to be like, oh, dude, you're a revolutionary. That's such a crazy piece of clothing. That's so different and unique. I've never seen anything like that. Like, I don't know. I just feel like is nothing all that crazy, So, I don't know. It's hard and it's a little bit weird and complicated. But there's just one thing I know. It's that, like, I knew what I was shopping for and I knew what I wanted to get. It was just more so like, all right, what's the right fit and like what's the right price for me, you know what I'm saying? And what's something that's like, is this worth getting? You know what I mean? Like, I don't believe it's worth getting like Gucci shoes. As cool as they are, as they might be, it's like, you know what I mean? I don't think they're going to be any more comfortable than like some slip-ons, or like some Crocs or whatever, you know what I'm saying? Like that's real comfort, in my opinion. It's like it's comfortable, you can wear it around, you can take it outside, you can run in it, you can do whatever you want on them. But Gucci shoes is more so like a statement, is like a society and a class thing where it's like, I'm wearing Gucci shoes, so I'm expensive and they're expensive, so I'm a really high value person, and I just don't buy it like at all. So I don't know. It's one of those weird things, but overall, when you're online shopping for clothes or clothing, I forgot what I said. Um, Sometimes it's kind of like, sometimes it's just really fun to look at things that you would never buy, or to just kind of shop for like just for you without like actually having to spend the money. You know what I mean? It's one of the fun things about shopping or online shopping, is that like you can look at clothes that are like so expensive, or like just trying to find your style, you know what I mean? And then obviously you're not being able to like afford it, but you would be able to like piece together kind of like, oh, this is a cool idea. This is something that I would really like to do. So, I don't know. I don't know. I often think about like certain clothes or ideas I have for like outfits or whatever. If like, you know how like certain comic book characters or like anime characters or like people in movies and TV shows, they kind of have like a look, you know what I mean, like a costume or like a designated look to them. And I was kind of thinking to myself like, yeah, that would be, this would be my look, and I just try to find like certain stuff. So, anyways, all of that to say, it's just kind of fun to shop a little bit and to look around and see like what's out there, what works for you, what doesn't work for you, and how can I find something that I really enjoy and that matters to me, in a way that what you wear now just doesn't. And that's why I have so much respect for people who do have like wild clothing. Because before I used to think that like people who were like, people who were a little bit more like edgy or punk or gothic, they were just so like, I was like, ew, why are they doing that? Like, why are they acting all weird or like out of place? And now I think about that time and I think about people who were doing that. And I was just thinking, man, they were really just like trying to stand out, doing something so unique and so different and so cool. And now I'm just kind of like, man, that it takes real guts and real confidence to wear something like that kind of look, you know what I mean, or to dress in a certain way, or to look you know, look like that, you know what I mean, to stand out like that. And you know, yeah, I just think that's really cool. So anyways, when you're online shopping for clothes, have fun. Don't overspend. All right. Now I'm trying to. Okay. Now it's one thing to look. All right. It's another thing to buy. All right. Now, yes, you can always return it, but at the same time, it's like, you know, you're playing with fire a little bit. You know what I mean? It's like one moment you're on there and you're buying stuff and it's all sweet, and then the next second it's like, hold on now, whoa Nelly, let's take it easy. You know what I mean? So I just think that it's like, be careful with your spending habits and make sure you know what you want before you get it. That's all. So, anyways, thank you guys so much for listening. I'll talk to you guys all next time, and I do think my sweatpants will come like tomorrow, but my hat might get here a little later than expected. So we'll have to wait and see about that. But anyways, thank you guys so much for listening. I'll talk to you guys all next time. Thank you.